जयधारी माँ। हर जीवन अनेक प्रकार के रंगों से भरा हुआ है। बातचीत वही रंग बांटेगी आप सबके साथ। हम सब एक हैं, बस सोच अलग अलग है। बटोर लीजिए उन रंगों को, जो भी आप चाहें इस बातचीत से, और ढाल लीजिए अपनी सोच में। यही मकसद है इस बातचीत का। आइए मिलते हैं अपने प्यारे से मेहमान से। अतिथि देवो भव।
जयधारी माँ। जयधारी माँ। आप सबको नमस्ते। हमारी ऑडियंसेस का स्वागत है। हमारे आज के अतिथि हैं आर माधवन। एक्टर हैं, प्रोड्यूसर हैं, डायरेक्टर हैं, राइटर हैं, स्पीकर हैं। लेकिन जितना मैं इस महीने में समझ पाई, बहुत पैशनेट है अबाउट लाइफ एंड लिविंग। He observes everything, absorb करते, and then does justice to his craft. आज मिलेंगे उनको और जानेंगे about various aspects of his life. He has a very deep way of thinking and looking at things and life. तो उन पहलुओं को पहचानेंगे, जानेंगे, पर पहले एक उन पर वीडियो देखते हैं।
Namaskar, namaskar.
First, a clap for you, Maddie. Clap for you for who you are. For who you
Very
are.
kind.
Who are you?
Thank
It's
you.
amazing. Maddie, I want to introduce you to my daughter, Saina. This program is her creation, Maddie. This is her creation, and she wrote me in and it is a mother-daughter relationship. We are not professionals. We're just curious, passionate quizzers. So we're quizzing, we're learning. So when Saina and her team connected with me saying, we want Maddie this time, ma'am, because you are the 16th guest, or 16 done. So they couldn't connect with you. So they used my phone, and I somehow had your number.
Why not?
And you were so nice, so generous with your time, as you are, that you said yes. You immediately said yes. Can I say thank you on behalf of Demonstrative Learning, on behalf of the entire team, Saina Barucha Rusbe Barucha, and her team, Shakila, Shivani Arora, and all others Saina will mention. So I want to say thank you to you. But because all others claim they're very busy. You're the only one you said you were available, ma'am. You never said, even hesitated for a moment. Why are you, how are you like this, Maddie? How? What makes you so?
Well, thank you so much, Sai ji, and किरण जी, आप मुझे बुलाएं और मैंने आऊं, ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता, क्योंकि I am a huge fan of yours from the time that I've come to know about you, from the sheer amount of grit and courage that you've had with everything you've done in your profession, with taking on people because you were on the side of right and winning, and the kind of strength that you have, the kind of conviction that you've had, it's exemplary and legendary. So more than anything else, it's a complete honor and a privilege for me to actually be a part of this event and to speak to you, Kiran ji. And Sana ji, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. आप जिस तरीके से मुझे मेरा इंट्रोडक्शन करवा रही थी, शब्दों से ज्यादा आपके आवाज में जो प्यार और आदर था, वो मुझे ज्यादा छू गया. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया.
Thank you. And just like to ask you again, please call me Saina. Please call me Saina, and I'm going to take the liberty of calling you Madhavan.
Please do.
Yes.
Would you prefer Maddie or do you want Madhavan?
No,
I'm okay with it.
I'll call him Madhavan. I'll call him
Okay.
Madhavan. Yes. And you've always looked ahead. You've always had a vision. You've always believed in yourself and your intuition. But you've looked ahead. For you, your craft, for you, your art is so much more sacred than anything else. And that's been, I think, your greatest blessing. How did you start looking ahead?
Much earlier on in my life, I was born and brought up in Jamshedpur, and I had the privilege of having a very wonderful childhood. But I think somewhere, and you're asking me this question about how I started looking forward, and it's the first time somebody's asked me that. And therefore, this answer is unique for me, because very earlier on, maybe when I was in my teens, I read about Gandhiji, about all the great achievers in the world, including man. I realized one thing that I tried to tell my friends, but they would actually laugh at me. And I said, what is common to somebody like Gandhiji, like Nehru, Winston Churchill, or Alexander the Great, or, every man who's achieved extraordinary feats in his life so that he's remembered over a period of years. The only thing common to all of them was they had just one lifetime to do it. इन लोगों के पास 200-300 साल नहीं थे. ये भी आम इंसान थे. इनके पास भी एक ही जिंदगी थी, अपने आप को प्रूव करने का या कुछ कर दिखाने का, या फिर दुनिया के लिए और लोगों के लिए अच्छा करने का. And so when I realized that is the time limit that I have to do what I want to, and therefore not having to fight the small battles day to day, which is going to be a part of life, which is going to be there every day. Challenges, a life without challenges is not a life. You're dead. So I realized that I don't have to sweat the small stuff. I don't have to worry about small challenges that appear right now, which seem like a large wall. I always imagined looking ahead of time and seeing where I want to go and what I want to do. And the only two things that my mother and my father insisted that I do in my life was, they said, I don't care about your achievements. I don't care about the heights to lead. That's all up to God and, and good fortune. But the two things that are in your control is that one, you don't cheat people either in terms of money or in terms of their faith in you, and secondly, don't hurt anybody intentionally. Don't hurt, break somebody's heart or be a reason for somebody fretting over their lives. If you follow these two rules, then you can do what you want. To bathroom साफ कर ले, तू scientist बन जा, तू sportsman बन जा, तू कुछ भी कर, जो भी करेगा ढंग से करना. And I think that was a lesson that I took to heart very seriously. And I realized that a lot of things were not in my control, but what was in my control, I grabbed it with both my hands. And as a result, that forced me to lean over the wall and look at the horizon and see where I want to go. So one overwhelming feeling when I was in school earlier on, I remember, was I just didn't know what I wanted to become, but I did know that when I entered a room, I wanted everybody to look at me. And that was a very overwhelming ambition that I had, and I hope that they would look at me with kindness and respect more than anything else. So that is the mantra that I have started my life with at a very early stage.
आपने बोला कुछ भी कर ले, काम कर ले, but do justice to it. But जो मैंने देखा है आपकी, what I've seen, the way I've read, you take nothing for granted. You absolutely take nothing for granted. And at a very early time in the show, शुरू में मैं आपसे ये रिक्वेस्ट कर रही हूँ, क्योंकि आपके पास वो ताकत है टू मोटिवेट एंड इंस्पायर. आप प्लीज हमारे यूथ को, जो आपको आइडियलाइज करते हैं, उनको बताइए कि कितनी मेहनत लगती है टू बी माधवन, कितनी मेहनत लगती है टू बी who you are, और कितनी सीख लगती है. You learn all the time. So they see a persona of you which, yes, attracts them, but who you are, your essence, it takes 25 hours a day. So guide them.
Thank you, Sania. इससे पहले कि मैं उनको गाइड करूं, ये जानना जरूरी है कि मेहनत का मतलब क्या है. मेरे हिसाब से मेहनत जो लोग कहते हैं, वो is a dedication and time invested in something that you have to accomplish. अगर जो आप अचीव करना चाहते हैं वो एक ऐसी चीज है जो आप एंजॉय नहीं करते, जो आपके लिए नहीं बने हैं. हर कोई साइंटिस्ट नहीं बन सकता, हर कोई इंजीनियर नहीं बन सकता. मुझे पूरा यकीन है कि किरण जी जिन्होंने जब शुरुआत की थी, उनको नहीं पता था कि वो इतनी पावरफुल और इतनी सक्सेसफुल होंगी. जीने के जो तरीके हैं वो बस बाकी लोगों से अलग हुआ होगा. मेरे लिए भी यही था. लोग मुझसे कहते हैं कि आपने बहुत हार्ड वर्क की, आपने बहुत इंडस्ट्री में आपका कोई नहीं है, फिर भी आप आए और मेहनत की. मुझे नहीं लगता कि मैंने कभी मेहनत की है. एक्चुअली सच तो ये है कि मैंने जो भी किया, जो कुछ भी मैं करना चाहा, मैंने बड़े दिल लगा के की. और अगर ऐसा नहीं है कि मेरे पास फेलियर्स नहीं है या मैं नाकामयाब नहीं रहा, लेकिन दो चीजों की वजह से मैं बचा रहा, वो ये था कि भाई जिज्ञासा. कभी आप आराम से अगर बैठे हो तो कुछ सीखने की इच्छा कि कुछ नया सीख लूं. my day is successful if one of the three things happen. One is I'm able to experience something new, or I'm able to give somebody a new experience that they've never had in their lives. Or the third thing is I meet somebody I want to be in touch with for the rest of my life. अगर ये तीनों में से एक पॉइंट टिक हो जाता है तो आई थिंक दैट डे इज वेरी वेरी सक्सेसफुल. अगर वो नहीं होता है तो मुझे लगता है कि यार मैंने आज हार्डवर्क नहीं किया. एंड आई थिंक दैट ability to learn something new, to provide a new experience, or to meet somebody who can give me more knowledge, be it a big celebrity or a chai wala who teaches me to make chai differently, कि भाई आप गलत कर रहे हो, ये कर सकते हो और ये ट्राई करो. And it was phenomenal. तब मुझे लगता है कि the process of learning cannot be defined as hard work. Hard work happens when आप जबरदस्ती एक ऐसे लाइन पे हो जहाँ पे आपकी कंडीशनिंग आपको अलाउ नहीं करती कोई और चीज के बारे में सोचने के लिए, या कोई और प्रोफेशन के बारे में सोचने के लिए, या कोई टाइम पास के बारे में. तो तब तो मेहनत होगा ही. और जब आपको किसी चीज पे पैशन है, अगर आपको लगता है कि मैं इसी के लिए बना हूं, तब आप कभी भी हार्ड वर्क नहीं करोगे. और मैं आजकल के यूथ को ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि जब हमारे माँ बाप इस प्रोफेशन में थे तो उनको उनके लिए बहुत सारे कंडीशनिंग थी, यानी कि बहुत सारे पैरामीटर्स और बैरियर्स थे, यानी कि वो अगर एक कंपनी से दूसरे कंपनी में अगर वो चले जाते थे या फिर उनको अगर वो अपनी नौकरी बदल लेते थे तो लोग देखते थे कि भाई क्या हो गया, यू नॉट गुड एट द जॉब, क्या कंपनी से निकाल दिया गया, यू नॉट गुड एट इट। बट नाउ इट्स बिकम अ नॉर्म, हर एक इंसान जो है वो अपना प्रोफेशन बदलते रहता है। मैंने इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स की फॉर ग्रेजुएशन, उससे पहले मैंने साइंस किया। सो द थिंग इज, जो मैंने कॉलेज में पढ़ा और आज मैं जो एक्टिंग कर रहा हूँ उसमें कोई संबंध ही नहीं है। और 90% ऑफ लोग वो सब्जेक्ट्स पढ़ते हैं जिससे उनका एक्चुअल प्रोफेशन का कोई लेना देना नहीं है। इसका मतलब ये है कि आने वाले कुछ सालों में आपका चैलेंजेस बदलते रहने वाला है। अगर आप माँ बाप हैं तो आपके बच्चे आपको दुखी करेंगे, इट्स पार्ट ऑफ लाइफ, क्योंकि वो भी अपना रास्ता ढूंढने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। जैसे हमने 3 Idiots में बताया था कि इफ यू love what you do, you excel in it, success will follow, money will follow. But if you don't, then it's going to be hard work. So in the coming years, I can foresee with after the post-COVID also, that professions are going to be changing. There'll be interdisciplinary expertise that will be required. You can't just do biology. You have to do biology with robotics. You have to learn dentistry with AI. You have to learn blockchain with art. So to make all that integration and be recognized in the world that is developing. तो आजकल NFT करके कुछ निकला है जो जो आर्टिस्ट के लिए बहुत जरूरी हो गया है, तो यू हैव टू नो अबाउट दैट ऑल्सो। जहां पे आपके पास ये इच्छा है कि मैं रोज कुछ नया सीखूं और कुछ नया करूं, तब तक आपकी लाइफ में हार्डवर्क नजर नहीं आएगा। और अगर आपको कभी ये होगा, सपोज यू आर फेस्ड विद डिफीट, सपोज आपने बहुत कोशिश की और आप नाकामयाब हो गए, तो सबसे बड़ा मंत्र है कि भाई भूल जाओ, लुक एट अनदर स्टेप टू गो, बिकॉज देयर इज अनदर डे, अनदर अपॉर्चुनिटी, अनदर रीजन टू बी सक्सेसफुल। एंड सक्सेस डजंट जस्ट मीन बीइंग सक्सेसफुल इन योर प्रोफेशन। बहुत सारे लोग हैं, जैसे मेरे माँ बाप, जो बहुत सक्सेसफुल माँ बाप रहे हैं, जो बहुत सक्सेसफुल घर वाले रहे हैं, और इन लोगों की सख्त जरूरत है हमारे इस सोसाइटी में, क्योंकि ये अच्छे लोग क्रिएट करते हैं हमारी सोसाइटी के लिए। आपकी जिम्मेदारी अच्छे बच्चे बनाना भी है, अच्छे लोगों को क्रिएट करना भी है। आप उनको अच्छी सलाह दें, औरतों की इज्जत करना सिखाएं, रिस्पेक्ट करना सिखाएं। मैं कई बार ये बोल चुका हूँ कि मैनर्स को लेकर मैं बहुत ही पर्टिकुलर हूँ। मेरे बेटे को, वेदांत को, मैंने कहा, जो मेरे पिताजी ने मुझसे कहा कि भाई तू कुछ भी कर ले, पर अगर मेरे ड्राइवर ने आके या मेरे लिफ्ट मैन या जो आपके साथ काम करते हैं, जो आपके लिए काम करते हैं, अगर उनको तुम एक्नॉलेज नहीं करोगे तो तुम कभी आगे नहीं बढ़ सकता, तुम्हारा सिचुएशनल अवेयरनेस कभी नहीं होगा। तो ही आस्क्ड मी कि यार ये सिचुएशनल अवेयरनेस क्या है। फौज में ना, मैं ये पहले भी कह चुका हूँ, फौज में ऐसा होता है कि जब आप परेड ग्राउंड पे हो या यूनिट के अंदर हो और दूर कहीं ऑफिसर पास होते हैं ना, तो आपको अब सावधान होकर उनको सल्यूट मारकर वो जो यूनिट का कमांडिंग वर्ड आपको बोलना पड़ता है कि जय श्री राम या व्हाटएवर इज द यूनिट कॉल। और अगर आप नहीं करते हो तो आपको बहुत सख्त पनिशमेंट दी जाती है। इसका कारण ये है कि व्हेन यू गो टू वॉर एंड यू आर इन द मिडल ऑफ अ कॉम्बैट, you have to know who's on your side and who the opposition is. When the bullets are firing and you're flying around your head and death is all around you, it's very easy to lose your control and end up what is called in friendly fire. कि पता चला आप ही के इंसान ने आप पे गोली चला दी। This cannot be acceptable. You cannot have that. So उसको कहते हैं कि situational awareness होना जरूरी है। इसी का छोटा वर्जन है मैनर्स। जब हम बच्चों को सिखाते हैं कि भाई अंकल को नमस्ते बोलो या घर वालों के पैर छुओ या फिर टीचर के लिए बुक उठा लो, तो आप उस बच्चे को सिचुएशनल अवेयरनेस सिखा रहे हैं। आप वो सिखा रहे हैं कि भाई तुम्हारे माहौल में, तुम्हारे इर्द गिर्द जो हो रहा है उसको देखो, एक्नॉलेज करो, उनके चेहरे को देखो, उनको पहचानो और फिर उनको आदर दो। तो ये जो होता है, ये एक सर्वाइवल टेक्निक है। ये एक ऐसी चीज है जो आपके बच्चे को सक्सेस की ओर ढकेलेगा, बिकॉज ही विल बी अवेयर ऑफ एवरीथिंग दैट इज हैपनिंग इन हिज पेरिफेरल विजन, व्हिच इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। ज्यादातर लोग इसको समझते नहीं है। उनको लगता है कि वेस्टर्न नॉर्म्स को फॉलो करना बहुत अच्छी बात है। जैसे कुछ चीजें हैं जो मुझे अभी भी डिस्टर्ब करती हैं। वेस्टर्न नॉर्म्स को हम फॉलो करते हैं और पता चलता है कि हमने कॉर्पोरेट लैंग्वेज को अपने लाइफ में इनकॉर्पोरेट कर लिया। तो कॉर्पोरेट में पता चला, फेसबुक और गूगल में उन्होंने कहा कि किसी को मिस्टर मत बुलाना, मिसेस मत बुलाना, आपने उनको फर्स्ट नेम में एड्रेस करना है। तो अगर आज मैं किरण जी को किरण बोलूँ ना, तो मेरा जहन ये नहीं गवारा करता कि मैं उनको किरण बोलूँ। ये बदतमीजी हो गई मेरे हिसाब से। और मेरे साथ भी ऐसा होता है कि मैं उस कंडीशनिंग के साथ हूँ कि भाई अगर मुझे कोई फोन पे बात करता है या मुझसे कॉल करता है, तो वो सीधे अगर मुझे माधवन बोलता है, तो मुझे लगता है कि यार इसका कंडीशनिंग सही नहीं है, ये वेस्टर्न बैकग्राउंड से ज्यादा इन्फ्लुएंस्ड है, इससे डील करने का तरीका मेरा अलग होता है, और मैं सख्त बन जाता हूँ। पर अगर कोई आदर से आपको अप्रोच करेगा, चाहे वो जितने भी बड़े या छोटे हो रहे, तो मेरी कंडीशनिंग ये है कि मैं आई एम मोर प्रोन टू लिस्टिंग टू द पर्सन वेरी केयरफुली. सो आई थिंक दैट we have to be very careful about what we imbibe in our culture from the West and what we don't, and that should become a survival technique in the world that you are in. So I think that is very very important. अगर वो आप अपने बच्चों को सिखाएंगे, you will end up making a better society, and that's the smallest thing you can do.
You're talking about a lot of sanskar, talking about children. Ma bless Vedant. Ma bless him. Ma bless him with a lot more. So much love and success and growth, inner growth. How do you travel the world? You've traveled the world. You're so rich with experiences. How do you pass them all on to him? How do you share them?
The more you travel, the more I learned, that the less I know. You cannot enforce wisdom. You can just give. And मैंने ये realize किया कि the more I travel, the more I understand about myself, कि मैं किस तरीके का इंसान हूँ. जब मैं 17 साल का था, तो मुझे एक मौका मिला as a cultural exchange student to go to Canada and live and understand about their culture. तो मैं वहाँ पे जाके 6 families के साथ रहा. उनमें से एक family थी काबॉय. अच्छा, उनका काम ये है कि वो फार्मर्स हैं जो गाय पालते हैं एंड उसको बीफ के लिए यूज करते हैं. और मैं ठहरा एक मद्रासी बहुत ही वेजिटेरियन टाइप का बंदा, और मैं वहां जाकर शॉक हो गया, क्योंकि ये इनके लिए ये कत्ल करना और इसको एक बिजनेस बनाना ये साधारण है. उनके लिए खून कोई बड़ी बात नहीं थी. और उस एरिया को बचाने के लिए उनको हंटिंग जाना पड़ता था, तो वो गीस हंटिंग के लिए मुझे ले गए. मुझे पता भी नहीं था कि वो क्या कर रहे हैं, जब तक मैंने देखा कि वो बंदूक निकाल कर गीस को शूट करना शुरू कर दिया. यानी कि जो पक्षियां वहां पे आती हैं सीजन में, और वहां पे वो अलाउड है. 2 चीज हो सकता था. एक कि मैं उन पे जजमेंट पास करूं कि क्या कर रहे हो भाई, ये सब नहीं करते, या उनको मैं समझाने की कोशिश करूं, पर ये सदियों से करते आ रहे हैं. ये उनके लिए, ये उनकी जिंदगी है, और ये हमेशा होता रहा है. तो मेरा फर्ज ये था कि मैं दूर से इसे देखूं, इनके बारे में सीखूं, क्योंकि ये भी इंसान थे, इनके पास भी वही सारे इमोशंस थे जो मेरे पास है. वो भी अपने बच्चों के बारे में घबराते थे, फ्यूचर के बारे में. वो भी चाहते थे कि अच्छा पढ़े, अच्छा लिखे, अच्छा इंसान बने. और वहां पे माहौल ऐसा था कि वो जिस तरीके से वो बच्चे पले बढ़ रहे थे, वो हमारे इंडिया से बहुत ही अलग था. तो वो हमारी ओर देख के बोलते थे कि भाई काश हमारा फैमिली सिस्टम भी आपकी तरह हो. वो मुझसे वो सीखना चाहते थे, और मैं उनसे ये सीखना चाहता था कि भाई 90 साल की उम्र में आप कैसे घोड़े चला लेते हो, 90 साल की उम्र में आप -30 डिग्रीज में कैसे सर्वाइव कर लेते हो, आप खाते क्या हो, आप पीते क्या हो, आपके लिए सोशल लाइफ क्या है, आप इस गांव में ही रहते हो, आप बाहर नहीं जाना चाहते हो. ये सब उनकी फितरत थी कि वो वहां बाहर नहीं जाना चाह रहे थे. उनके लिए वो उनका स्वर्ग था. सो the more you didn't pass judgment, the more you went with an open heart कि भाई ये लोग ऐसे हैं, इनसे मुझे सीखने को क्या मिलेगा, या मैं इनको अपना ऐसा एक्सपीरियंस क्या शेयर कर सकता हूँ जिससे उनकी लाइफ में कोई पॉजिटिव चेंजेस आए. यही मुझे लगता है कि विजडम था, जो मैं ये कहानी के तौर पे अपने बच्चे को समझा सकता हूँ, या जितने भी लोगों से मिलता मैं उनको ये सुना सकता हूँ कहानी के तौर पे. और जो जिस इंसान को जिस वक्त जो मैसेज लेना होता है वो ले लेता है. मुझे पूरा यकीन है कि विजडम जो है वो एब्जॉर्ब किया जाता है, वो नोट नहीं किया जा सकता. तो आई थिंक the best part of my travel is that I have so many stories to tell with a hidden meaning, that it does make sense to somebody who wants to hear it at the right time in his life, and that will make an impact.
Bless him. Bless. Ma, bless your bond with him. It's special.
Thank you.
It's special. Mummy?
That's great.
With you? Ji.
What I've first of all, I'm so grateful to you, Saina, most of all, and your team, that you made me read a lot about Maddie. We had seen him, we'd heard about him, we'd admired him from a distance, we'd followed him. But You made me read today a lot. And I'm amazed how much you've accomplished in such a short span of life, Maddie. So proud of you. You're a treasure to this country. You're a
Thank
treasure to our generation. I'm so happy. I've got goosebumps when I
you.
read about you, all your TED talks, all your radiant wellness and claims talks. Amazing, and how versatile you've been. You've gone across brands, television, movies, writing, authorship, philanthropy. My God, nothing left. What's left? What's left? Because you continue to reinvent yourself. I think the biggest message when I saw you, more I read and saw you, that you constantly reinvented yourself, isn't it? How did you do it? And you had a sense intuition. I found that you had intuition. What's my age heading for? What will I be best at? I think that's a great quality. I think that's a message for generations. Share your secret of how do you anticipate the need for reinvention? How do you detect it? And how do you prepare?
Wow, Kiranji, thank you so very much. All the kindest of words, and I'm telling you, it's words like this, and from people like you that actually helps me, motivate me, and keep wanting to do the same stuff. The question that you've asked is so very relevant. Let me give you an example so that you understand very very well. There are many directors in our industry right now. Well, some of them have lost their market, and some of them are, fighting the battle up from the front lines. The difference between a director who has been a big time director and is not relevant anymore, is that if I give him a movie scene from, say, Tanu Eds Manu, ki bhai aap ye scene shoot karo, because of his technical knowledge, he'll be able to shoot that scene. He knows where to keep the camera, when to call action, when to call cut, and how to edit it, and what the music is to put. So he's not forgotten that skill of making that scene, to shoot that scene. The difference is his approach, his conditioning does not allow him to relate to the younger generation who will not be able to appreciate the scene the way he has shot it. That's the only difference between somebody who's not moved with the ages to somebody who's still a director at 91 years age. And we have an Oscar winner who's at 91, and he continues to make movies. When I saw that, I realized that the biggest challenge and enemy that I have in my life will be complacency. The moment I sit down and I realize that this formula is working, this process of success is working, let's keep doing this till it goes redundant. The process of continuing to do the mundane activity over and over again is stopping you from developing. So in the film industry, when you enter the film industry, you meet only people from the film industry. Then you become a celebrity. Then your circle becomes even smaller. Then you become a superstar. Then you're constantly meeting people who are telling me how good you are and how nice you are. And then I reached a stage where I had become complacent and I was not excited about the work I was doing, simply because the people I was doing it with were also very complacent about their lives. So I realized that if I have to be relevant, and the biggest curse for anybody, any individual, any senior person in the world today, is that they don't fear poverty, they don't fear anything else. In India, they fear being irrelevant in the society that you live in. The Dadaji fears कि भैया उनका opinion will not matter anymore in a family. The mother fears that her son will be irrelevant to her after the bahu comes in. So this irrelevance is a big, big challenge, and it's a big wall. So for me to be relevant, I wanted to move out. I wanted to stop. So I took a break. In 2012, I took a break for about 4 years because I wanted to understand what the people thought of me, what the directors thought of me. I actually stopped earning money. I said no to endorsements. I started traveling by auto rickshaws, growing a beard and a mustache, just to understand कि ये colloquial terms में बोल क्या रहे हैं, कि ये किस तरीके से उनको क्या वो मोबाइल फोन में जब गेम खेल रहे थे उनकी what is making sense to them? What the cost of petrol going up, is it affecting them as much as the cost of pyaz going up? All these things. That understanding about the society that I was heading into was the one that gave birth to Tanu Eds Manu. So when everybody was doing romance stories that happened only in America or Canada or on the New York bridges or other places in Switzerland, मेरे को लगा कि why not do a story that is relevant to the small town India, and see somebody like Tanu and who are also equally developed and advanced as the rest of the world. Just the way they look at it is different. So imbibing that and making sure that you are making content that they will revere on screen. So the difference between cinema and small screen and OTT is that on the large 70 screen, you have to be aspirational. You can be a good actor, you can be a good dancer, you can be a great orator, performer, whatever it is. But अगर theatre में जाने वाले आपको ना larger than life image में नहीं देखते हैं, because of who you are, then you are not a star anymore. Then you're not somebody that they want to watch. Then they will lean back and look at your work and say, "Chalo yaar, madaripan dikhao apna." But that was not what's making a star. So to make myself relevant is why I had to take these breaks, to understand more people, to understand what I was doing wrong. And that is the process with which, like you said, I'm constantly on the move. I'm trying to evolve every day, because I know that unless I know about blockchains, or I know about cryptocurrency, or I talk about, mining bitcoins, or I talk about, let us say, animes which are coming from Korea and Japanese, which is affecting the youth today. What do I need to make a movie or a story that is one step ahead of that. तब जाके वो थिएटर में देखेंगे, वरना वो नहीं देखेंगे. So as a result of my mere survival is why I've kept evolving and yearning to do that.
It's fantastic. Saina, just 1 minute. I think what a fantastic remedy or a recipe you're giving to everybody across the board, in public service in particular, be it politician or be a bureaucrat. You are, or indeed in the corporate world, you are suggesting a sabbatical. Everybody takes some time, a sabbatical, even paid sabbatical if possible. Go back to roots, go back to your village, go back to your slum, go back to where you belong to, go back and be a commoner. You are prescribing a prescription for better public service as a politician. No, take a sabbatical. And if bureaucrats, imagine the IAS, the IPS, and the IRS are said, go back to you 1 year, go back to people. What will they come back? When they go back and take a feedback on auto rickshaws or back in village schools, etc., they really get to know what's happening with their governance, what's happening with their administration, which they probably claim as a collector, they did magic, or as a secretary of education, they did it all. I think that's when they realize what you're suggesting is something miraculous. I think there's a larger message in what you say. Everybody takes a 1 year sabbatical compulsorily. You have to take a break. Let it be a paid break. But the condition is that you will shed off all the trappings and privileges of the government and become a commoner, come back. Even the corporate world, the Pepsis and the Coca-Colas of the world, if they also become, they'll realize how we are running out of water, how much water they are taking and how much water are they generating back. And then they suddenly realize that they need to re-strategize. One of the biggest takeaways from your this expression through reinvention. How did you reinvent? By becoming one of the people to realize what's impacting, what do the people need, and how the society is moved. I want to be very grateful, feeling very grateful. I wish the politicians and the bureaucrats pick up this message today from you today, because this Baatcheet is open on all our social media channels live. I hope this goes down, but I request my team to make a snippet specially out of this and share it around in our terms. I'm so grateful to you, Maddie.
Thank you.
Wanting to ask you something from what you've said. You are what you do every day. How about reflecting? And that's what I want to know. How do you do this? How do you maintain your balance, and how do you keep connecting to your core while being a part of so much of limelight and attention? How do you keep going back to your core every single day? Do you take time off every day, a few minutes to reflect? How do you keep yourself so centered? And
I go through my ups and downs emotionally as well. And I think that drives me to, and I, to tell everybody that I'm sanitized from these emotions would be incorrect. I go through exactly the same amount of agony, ecstasy, feeling useless, feeling unsuccessful, feeling that I've become lazy, the feeling that all the negative thoughts are also predominant. Okay. And I'm going to keep this answer really effective and short, simply because everybody needs a grounding. So, when you look at something that looks like an impossible challenge, and what I do is I don't look at the entire problem. I don't look at the entire challenge in its entirety. I push it away for a day. I try to, tomorrow, today I will take my dog for a walk. So I'll take my dog for a walk and I'll be with that dog and his emotions for a bit. It gives me a little bit of clarity on how to, on something that seemed impossible, and how to handle it. Somebody could have hurt you, somebody could have betrayed you, somebody could have told you something and they're not living up to their word. All these things brings in an instant anger. Being an alpha male, it brings an instantaneous reactions that might not be smart, will be more regret. And over a period of time, I realized that not spontaneously reacting to something is been far safer than having to react spontaneously and letting go of it, because most often than not, you had to go back and say sorry. The one mantra that I've used, Saina, is that, and has been taught to me by a friend of mine, is always look beyond the obvious. So when I meet people or I see a situation, I see their words, I see what they're talking about. Sometimes you take an instant dislike to somebody, or sometimes you take an instant like to somebody. When you like somebody, it's not a problem. But when you take an instant dislike to somebody, you have to find out, why is it that happening? What is it about that person that's making you dislike it? So I have always found myself to give more of a chance to that person who was irritating me than to a person who I like immediately. And I realized more often than not that person was actually saying something else, but the words coming out of his mouth was something else. The situation was something else, but he was looking for some sort of retribution, he was clinging on to straws. He was aggressive for a reason. And believe it or not, those have become my lifelong friends. The people who I didn't quite like in the first place turned out to be my biggest assets in life. Okay. So to be able to have the wisdom to ground yourself, there are only two things that I follow. One is I pray 3 times a day. It's not to a deity or I'm born and my family is conditioned. So when I wake up in the morning, there's a prayer that I say to my God, and I thank him. More than anything else, the most overwhelming emotion that I have is gratitude. So I thank him. And then when I have a bath and I come out, I acknowledge it and I thank him. And when I go to sleep again, I say, wonderful day. Thank you for saving us. Thank him. So I think this feeling of gratitude that I constantly keep within my heart, close to me, and feeling almost like I don't deserve all the success that I've got. It's only because the blessings of either the elders in the family and in the society and that of the good Lord has probably helped me ground myself and wake up and think there's another opportunity tomorrow. This is said in all humility. Everybody has a way to ground themselves. And so I'm not saying that this is the best way, but for me, this has worked. And it's more often than not, it made me look at the larger picture and make things easier for me.
Another thing which I felt is you're receiving a lot of blessings of Mother Nature. You're receiving a lot of blessings of Mother Nature, Ma Bhumi, and humanity, because you're serving the cause with all your heart. And you're serving it in such a real way that through a video which I saw on Google, I could feel it. I was moved. And I do connect. I can feel, I felt the energy while seeing it, that you are connecting with Ma Bhumi and Mother Nature, and you're receiving a lot of blessings from her. You converted a barren piece of land into a flourishing, happy, green, lush space. What a blessing. Yes, there are resources, but they give the resources. The resources come from them. We are not the doers. We are just the zaria to do what we are supposed to be doing. So you're getting a lot of blessings, and we're showing you a small little heart space, and then we continue our talk on this. Sumit,
Sure.
जी. blessings. These are your blessings.
Thank you. Thank
Can
you.
you share your thoughts on this? How it all?
Yeah. So I always feel at home when I'm with nature, and one of my closest friends, Mr. Subha, who's from Malaysia, he rekindled my romance with the green. And then I just, I realized that when you're in a forest and you're, or in the desert, or you could be anything where you see Mother Nature in all her power and glory, then you want to be as close to that as possible. And so, I was experimenting with the idea here. It happened at a time when Mumbai was going through a phase where vegetables were becoming very difficult to find, and the cost of potatoes and onions were going through the roof. So I started growing these vegetables in my garden and seeing if that's possible, and exploring hydroponics and seeing if there is a natural way without using supplements and without using chemical, if I can grow vegetables, and using neem as a pesticide if that is possible. Or when you said about this coconut plantation, there was an arid piece of land in that place, and Mr. Subha, my friend, he wanted to make sure that we could cultivate coconuts and make it into a livelihood for the village over there. It started off as a very small dream. It was an experiment. I will not say that we envisaged the kind of success that we got from the very beginning. It had its own challenges, and there's resistance. The people over there think you're coming to teach them how to reinvent the wheel. They had their own opinions, and that's and then you have to calmly talk to them and tell them, what, it doesn't matter if I'm not going to live here. This is not my land. This is your place. But what if it works out? Give us a chance. Let's just see if it works out. If you're reasonable with them, and if they can feel your intent more than what you're saying, then they become so. The same farmers who are objecting to us trying to grow these coconuts, they came back to us and said, "Hey, tell us how to do it. What is it? How come this thing has become so lush in 4 years?" And so we told them, hey, you can't just take land and cultivate it. You have to take sun hemp and you have to put it in the ground. It grows in 6 weeks. It becomes 6 feet tall. Then you get some to mulch it, make mulch on the sand, and then you give enough nitrogen to the soil for you to start growing these plants. You have to dig a particular. So all that research that we had done, but that Subha had done actually, bore fruit. And when you see success like that, you feel so excited because you feel Mother Nature is with you, and she's blessing you. So no coconut has tasted better than the one that we grew ourselves. Yeah.
What are your greatest learnings from Mother Nature? What is Mother Nature? What are your greatest learnings?
That we are very insignificant in front of her. People who think that they have power over Mother Nature are actually fooling themselves. We need to, like I was saying, success at the end of the day is knowing that you've done your best effort possible within the potential that the good Lord has given you. It is not measured with money. By the time you're 50 years old, 60 years old, it doesn't matter whether you have 200 crores or 20 crores or 20 lakhs in your bank, because you're still going to eat a very limited diet food and going to sleep in that 6 feet of a bed. But what makes you feel relevant? What makes you feel good? And one of the things that's always kept its arms open for you at any given point of time to keep yourself relevant and show love to you is Mother Nature. So if you're living see, everybody cannot be a leader, yaar. Everybody cannot be a motivator. Praja to chahiye, tabhi jaake raja banenge. और वो प्रजा के लिए भी स्वर्ग होता है ना. So the praja there is absolutely a lot of hard work and brilliance in being the praja.
Yes.
So if you're a common citizen, there is by no means a discredit to you. It means you're also very successful because you're there alive, you're spreading the goodness, and that because of you that leaders exist. So and for those people to survive, one of the best things is nature. Once you take a walk, or you want to grow a vegetable, or you have your first tomato coming out of the garden that you grew, the joy in it is extraordinary. I'm telling you, I remember I had this beans and muskmelon farm on my terrace in Mumbai, and I was very excited about it. And one day it got infected. It got infected by whiteflies, and I was getting worried. And then I got angry, and I was so pissed off. Like, my entire thing is gone. It was just 5 feet of a terrace with a few muskmelons and few beans and everything, but the whole plant got destroyed because of the whiteflies. This is part of nature. But the amount of angst and anger I felt seeing that 5-foot piece of land go, can you imagine the kind of angst and anger a farmer feels when his entire crop is gone? And kabhi kabhi, you don't get the manure in time, or you don't get the rains on time, or somebody is not giving you the money on time to put the seeds in the right place or nurture it, and you see an entire field die in front of you. It's like somebody in your family has died. So I can imagine the angst with which they commit suicide. And the saddest part is they're killing themselves for like a lack of 20,000 rupees or 30,000 rupees, which is, I don't think we should allow that to happen in our country. So I think that Mother Nature has a lot to teach us, and there is a way of respecting her and learning from it. And if you do that, you will be relevant in your own world that you create. All of us don't have to be leaders and MLAs and MPs and stars and superstars. You can be a superstar in your garden.
Yes. आपने बोला प्रजा and angst and anger. Little question coming to my mind. Isn't it, maybe they are doing it, I'm not aware of it, but the film industry, anywhere, any part of the country, isn't it time for them as an industry to take a vow to give back collectively? You know how we have a CSR with all corporates, the film industry having a formal CSR, even if they start collectively looking after their own people. पुराने सब चले गए, ध्यान रखेंगे.
I think such a system does exist. If the film industry is far closer than you can imagine. I can assure you that if the good Lord has been kind to us in terms of making us wealthy, we must have done something right. So it's not always right to tie a heavy chain around people like us and pass a judgment, because it is not without the favor of the good Lord that we are where we are today, right? Having said that, everybody, I assure you, does their own bit to do it. Collectively, I'll tell you why, Saina, it's not possible that we do it collectively and have a mandate collectively, because our market and our livelihood and our relevance in the industry is so fragile that you're a star one day, the other day you're not. People don't realize that, you're pushed to stardom. Therefore, you're maintaining forced to maintain a lifestyle. And suddenly the next day there is no more movies, or the television serial has gone out of thing, or COVID hits you and everything is shut. Not everybody has the ability to sustain the lifestyle with which they're used to, or has the wisdom to keep yourself to the minimalistic lifestyle, even as you're a star, because it's counterproductive. So if you don't show off that you have a great car and you don't show off that you're wearing great clothes, then the endorsements don't come in. So humility is not something that goes well with a star. But again, that's a trapping, because to show off that you're a star, you need that kind of money, and that kind of money is not something that you can rely on for the rest of your life. So on those circumstances, to rely on a set of people to execute what you're saying will end up becoming more disorganized than any which way. So I can assure you that every actor that at least I know, in their own way, they make sure that they're doing good for the society, right? And even the stories we choose, even the you see how many brickbats we get. People put cases against us. People, there's a generalization right away that you're uneducated. Sala buddhu hai to actor ban jao, is how we started off. So even though it's very glamorous and a happy life to look at, it has its own challenges. And we do have unfortunate cases where people are not being taken care of. But a CSR sort of an initiative, I think it has to be very well thought of to keep it running. It has to be sustainable with the presence of people who look like they have a longer style. So industries have 10-year plans and 15-year plan. I can promise you, no actor can have a 2-year plan. Very, very difficult.
Yeah. So it's so important also to keep it all real. It's also important to keep it real. But it's wonderful that we are all coming together. And I'm glad you've spoken about a few things, because it does get judgmental. And I think through this, we're trying to remove all of that. What's your vision 2030? We were discussing it with a group of youngsters, 2030 for our country.
Yeah, I gave a speech in Harvard regarding this, and one of the most prominent things that I was telling or my vision or my aim or my dream has been that apart from smart cities, we should have smart villages, because at the end of the day, what really makes a person feel comfortable and successful is that, when he finishes a hard day's work, he comes back and he's able to devote some time to art and culture. That's the society that has really evolved. So if you look at all the successful countries in the world that, like Switzerland or Austria or places, the happiness quotient is very high. And the happiness quotient is very high because the lowest common denominator of that country has food, has, accommodation, and has, safety, medical, and most importantly, also taking part in cultural and artistic activities. And my dream is that, we have no farmer suicides. Everybody looks at farmers like the superstars that they are, and our small villages become smart villages. And like everybody wants to go to America and get a green card, or wants to become a part of the digital revolution, the people around the world should want to come to India and understand what the agricultural revolution is and how to live happily in small pods that we call villages in our country. That is a big dream that I have.
Yes, that's a blessed prayer. That's a blessed prayer
Yeah.
from a blessed heart, Mummy.
It is, since we got a few minutes left only, so may I ask the last final question?
Yes, please, please.
And that's it. How do you handle all the applause? What happens to you when you had so much of applause and it goes into your ears? How do you deal with it? How long does it stay with you? What impact it leaves behind? Tell us, how do you deal with applause, which you get all the time?
It's very frightening, man. I remember the top seniors actors like Kamal sir and Amit ji look at it and tell me, remember everybody on your way up, because if you're kind to them, they will be kind to you on your way down, which is going to happen. So whenever I hear the applause or praises, I have an out-of-body experience, and I tell myself they're talking about somebody else. I do that even as you spoke to me. It's not about me. I look at the only time that I want to show off is go to my wife and tell her, who you're married to. Yeah, this. Whenever we have our fights, it's like, let me tell you, hey, and this is how much, everybody in the world wants to listen to advice from me, but you can't hear and understand what I'm saying. So she'll say, keep your stardom out. It's very strange. I mean, all the advice that I want to give, people want to talk to me and hear me, but my son is like giving me advice. So it's the way of the world, and I think not taking that for granted. I think making sure that I look at the people in their eyes when they ask me for an autograph, and acknowledge that moment and cherish it, has probably been the way that I've dealt with it. And, I keep appreciating it for a while, but I also distance from it. Like if my film flops, what I do is that one next day, my wife and everybody stays away from me, because I'm in all profanities and I'm angry and I'm, I bang things and I get angry at the, stupid thing. But that one night, I'm just intolerable that day. I go to sleep. The next morning, I'm back to seeing what is the next challenge and how do I prepare myself for it. The same thing happens if I have a hit. So with that one day, I'm the king of the world. I'm telling them that everybody else is gone. I am the best superstar. Like, I'm going to get the Oscar. This is it. I'll throw a party. I'll just let that whole feeling out completely. Go to sleep. Next morning, get nervous about what work I have to do next to sustain it. So just resetting it helps me a lot. The applause just falls on deaf ears at sometimes.
But you've answered for me as a mother from my daughter, because I think this is the same thing which happens here. So you made it easy. So I think we're in the same boat. Applause
Absolutely.
Out, but investigation at home.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you get trapped. Sometimes you say things outside and your son says, you said it over there, but now you're like...
That's it. That's what happens. So, Maddie, look forward to seeing you in Tamil Nadu one day. Hope
Absolutely.
to see you, connect with you for an event. I may hit Tamil Nadu for that. I will connect with you, inform you, and see where you are at that time. What is coming, let that be a little suspense, but I'll reconnect with you on that. It's an event in Tamil Nadu which may happen, and I would just love to see you there at that time. We'll leave that for the future. It's not very far away, maybe in January or February. We'll see if you're not traveling. Right?
Okay.
Saina, I want to thank you for introducing the entire team to Maddie, our hero, my hero. Now you're Mr. Whatever you call it.
No,
so it's been Mr. Madhavan and Maddie for all of us.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful, and we wish you all the very best for your journey ahead, and a lot of blessings from the Almighty for your son. And
Lots to
thank
your
you.
family, and more progress for you, more achievement for you, more prayers for you, more blessings for you, more adoration for you.
Thank you so much. I'm very
Thank
touched and very honored. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank
Jai
you.
Hind.
Yeah.
Thank you. We stay connected. Thank you.
Okay, you bet. Bye.
Thank you.
Jai Hind.
Thank you. मिलेंगे अगले महीने आप सबको एक नई अतिथि के साथ और जानेंगे उनके बारे में। अगले महीने मिलते हैं आपको।
Thank you,
बहुत
Saina.
बहुत शुक्रिया जुड़ने के लिए। थैंक यू जी।
So thank you, Sujata. Thank you,
Hari.
Shivani. Thank you, Shakira. All of you.
जी जी
for
जय
having
धारी
made it possible. Jai
जी।
Dhari Ma.
जी
Thank you. Jai Dhari Ma.
We end the live now.